And I choose to feel it by honoring all that he is and honoring the sadness and leaning into the tears. Grief is love that has no place to go. And it's because that sadness, grief is love that has no place to go. I know that it's important to me to honor Ian in the totality.
There are some kinds of pain that never really leave you, and people often say losing a child is one of them. It's the kind of heartbreak no parent ever expects, because you're supposed to watch your children grow up, not say goodbye to them. For Regina King, that unimaginable loss became her reality. To millions of people, Regina is an Oscar-winning actress, an accomplished director, and one of the most respected women in Hollywood. But if you asked her what role mattered most, the answer was never acting. It was being a mom to her only son, Ian Alexander Jr. Then, in 2022, everything changed. Ian passed away at just 26 years old, leaving Regina to face the kind of grief that no amount of success, money, or fame could ever prepare someone for. Years later, she has spoken openly about the questions that still follow her every single day. The same questions so many grieving parents ask themselves. Did I miss something? Could I have seen the signs sooner? Could I have done anything differently? According to Regina, Ian had been struggling with depression for quite some time. She says they did everything they knew to do. There were therapists, psychiatrists, treatment programs, long conversations, and constant efforts to help him carry what he was going through. Even with all of that, Regina says the loss has forced her to live with questions that may never have answers. And what she shared about that journey has touched countless parents who know what it feels like to wonder if they could have somehow changed the outcome.
Gone through with the therapy, with psychiatrists and programs, and Ian was like, I'm tired of talking, Mom.
She admitted that one of the hardest things to accept was understanding that Ian had reached a point where he no longer wanted to continue fighting. It was a painful truth, one that left her angry for a long time. Angry at the unfairness of it all, even angry with God. One comment read, "God does not have nothing to do with that. It's the devil, his angels. God give you free will. Sorry it happened."
I was so angry with God, that why would that weight be given to Ian?
One fan commented that a parent should never lose a child. I lost my hero and my dad over 2 years ago, and it's still a struggle every day to a degree. But to lose a child has to be the worst. She remembered wondering why such a heavy burden had been placed on her son after everything he had already endured. Why, after all the help and support available to him, he still felt exhausted by the struggle. Yet through all that pain, Regina has tried to honor Ian's journey rather than define him by the way it ended. Because when she talks about her son, she doesn't start with tragedy. She starts with who he was. Someone with an incredible eye for art and culture. Someone who could bring joy into a room simply by being there. Someone whose presence made people feel seen. Ian often spoke about how much he loved and admired his mother. Regina felt the same way. In many ways, they grew up together. One fan commented, "Crazy, I had just met him days before he passed. He was a cool brother. Definitely felt horrible when I got the news. Prayers go out to the King family." Regina talks about him in the present tense. To some people, that may seem unusual, but to her, it makes perfect sense because Ian is still part of her life. He's in the music that reminds her of him. He's in the color orange, his favorite color, which still catches her attention whenever she sees it. She admitted that the absence is really loud. And that is such a simple sentence, but it says so much. Because for many grieving parents, that is exactly what loss feels like. It is not always loud in the way people expect. Sometimes it is loud in the empty chair, the quiet room, the birthday that comes around again, or the phone call that will never happen. No matter how much time passes, certain losses do not become small. You just learn how to carry them differently. Some days, the memories bring laughter. Other days, they bring tears. And most days, they bring both at the exact same time.
Sometimes, it's a lot of guilt comes over me. When a parent loses a child, you still wonder, what could I have done so that wouldn't have happened.
She says the sadness has not disappeared, nor does she expect it to. In fact, she doesn't want it to. To her, that sadness is a reflection of love, a reminder of just how much Ian meant to her and always will. Because before she was an Oscar winner, before she was a director, before she became one of Hollywood's most respected stars, she was something else first: Ian's mom. She remembers him at 3 days old, sitting in the room, looking at him, crying. Think to herself, she just wants to do whatever she has to make sure that his life is wonderful. One of the most difficult things Regina revealed was learning to accept that Ian made his own choice. It wasn't acceptance in the sense of approval. It was acceptance in the sense of understanding that his journey was his own. That realization didn't erase her heartbreak. It didn't erase the anger she once felt. It didn't erase the questions. And it certainly didn't erase the guilt. And maybe that's what makes Regina King's story so heartbreaking, is the fact that she lost the person who meant the most to her. The little boy she once sat and watched sleep, promising herself she would do everything in her power to give him a beautiful life. The son who eventually became her closest friend, the one person whose absence she says is still really loud. And yet, despite all the love, all the support, all the therapy sessions, all the conversations, and all the years spent trying to help him carry his pain, Regina is left with the same questions that haunt so many parents who lose a child. Even now, Regina continues to honor Ian every single day. She speaks about him with love, shares his story with pride, and does everything she can to make sure his memory lives on. One of the most meaningful ways she has done that is through something Ian introduced her to himself: wine. Not because Regina had ever dreamed of getting into the wine business, but because Ian had a real appreciation for it. She has shared that he was the one who introduced her to orange wine, and after losing him, that simple memory became something much bigger. It became a way to keep him close. That's how the wine brand Me and You came to be. For Regina, it isn't just a business. It's a tribute to her son, a way of celebrating something they shared together and making sure Ian's name continues to be spoken, not just in moments of sadness, but in moments of love, connection, and remembrance. But what do you think? Was Regina carrying a burden no parent should ever have to bear? Or do you believe there are moments in tragedies like this when the warning signs are impossible to ignore? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification.